Welcome! Welcome, my friends, one and all. I am Chamberlain Jonas here of the Wayward Inquisition, here on another night of World Building Plus. If you caught last time, we did a world building of... Oh, sorry. Doing the audio check. And I heard myself, so I'm good. But yes, last time we built a society because we live in one. And that society consisted of shifters, are from D&D. They're kind of, they're basically werewolf people. It mentioned a lot about, like, lycanthropy in their history, but I twisted them and made them more hawk-like, which was really neat. And tonight, I'm gonna do dwarves. Now, full disclaimer, dwarves are my least favorite fantasy race. In Lord of the Rings, I mean, they're okay. I can't say that I dislike them, because there are interesting aspects about dwarves across media, but they just don't do anything for me. They don't resonate. I don't connect with them, which is a little surprising because, I mean, the Tolkien dwarves were all about food. And, buddy, that's how you get me. Oh, let's make sure I got the chat pulled up. There we go. And so I was thinking about it today, and I decided I was going to go with dwarves. And I did cheat a little bit because I was thinking about it at work. Usually I try to do these on the spot. This is very unscripted and off the top of my noggin, kind of as I go along, which is how I like to do things for the most part. So, step 0, as Angry Meatball pointed out last time, are we world building these dwarven societies for story purposes, or kind of just realistically, like thinking about a dwarven society, how would that work? And doing it realistically was really fun last time, so I'm going to stick to that trend. So I got my Word doc open here. Keep my notes. And tonight's background music for myself is Broken Benny. You know. And I'm listening to their Aurora album. I'm really bad with keeping up with musicians. And a Breaking Benjamin song came on at work today, and I was like, hey, let's check in on those guys, see how they're doing. Let's see, what was the next step? Not that I have to do this in order. Ah, yes, the race, which is already pretty decided on. Dwarves, however, I'm going to do quite a twist on these dwarves. I did look up what is kind of the origin of dwarves out of curiosity. Because the world that Tolkien made is, of course, the peak of fantasy. I mean, it's the best. But, I know he got a lot of inspiration from other sources, like mythologies and whatnot. So I knew the concept of dwarves had to be older than Lord of the Rings. And so I looked it up. And yeah, they're mentioned. Uh, this speaks of Germanic and Norse mythology, as well as European folklore. And in all of them, they are described as being, short statured miners that live underground. So they have kind of a standard trope across different cultures, which always fascinates me when different cultures have something like that specifically similar. Now, I know a lot of that was probably just word of mouth, interacting with each other. Well, the possibility of interacting with each other. Uh, there was, oh yeah, metallurgy, smithing. Yeah, it doesn't, none of them describe them as being like, the stocky ones. One thing even said, yeah, there it is, that, dark elves are a common thing in Norse mythology, but from the source material of Norse mythology and everything, there's not a distinguish between dark elves and dwarves. So, like, some historians, you know, they think that they might be like the same entity, that dark elves and dwarves are just the same subspecies. Oh, there it is. Yeah, the other thing that was really interesting was that many of them, they're described as short with long beards, but with physical abnormal. Oh gosh, anomalies. Oh, butchered that one. They're disfigured. They're weird looking. That's the gist of that word that I can't pronounce because English is apparently my third language. But yeah, this one says that, one of those characteristics being hunchbacked, which, uh, if you didn't know, we are a Dungeons and Dragons podcast, and we have all sorts of VODs for you to watch. One of those is Treachery, a Lord's Gambit. And Patrick plays a dwarf in it named Braxt. And he's hunchbacked, not in the way that they're described in kind of mythology, but I thought that was pretty funny that that correlation happened. Now, I don't want to just do regular dwarves. We're going to get a little freaky and doink with them, So, what can we do with dwarves? The one thing I thought of while I was at work was a big thing to help build a culture is the food, which I'm really bad at going in depth into. I covered food a little bit with the shifters last time, but I decided that the dwarves, like, okay, they're often associated with mining, digging, and, And I was like, what if it was more than just because they wanted to find metals to work with, or the common trope that they're just greedy and they're digging for, jewels and gold and whatnot. And so I thought, what if they fed off of like gemstones? Like that was their food source. One of the descriptions of dwarves is them just being um, earthen spirits. So, they have a kind of a supernatural quality to them from their origins. And so I was kind of thinking about that, and it's like, yeah, what if they're digging so that they can find food? And, it'd have to be like specific kind of things that they would eat. They couldn't just find a rock and be like, oh, yes, dinner. It would have to be like, oh, yes, this is an opal. Or oh, this sapphire. Well, this will last us a whole year. So dwarves eat gemstones. They feed off feed off them for a long time. So it wouldn't have to be like, because I mean, if it was like how often we have to eat, I mean, they'd have to be, basically, they would be digging nonstop. Which, I mean, they kind of do, but, it wouldn't be as feasible, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, what if it lasted them, depending on the quality and, what type of gemstone. And then as far as appearance, we'll keep the short stature, the long beards, but maybe, yeah, I want to get away from their short, stocky humans. Because, I mean, that's kind of why I don't care about dwarves, is they're just short dudes. Where, like, halflings, oh, well, they're just short people too. Well, yes, but they're different. It's like being small is their thing. Where dwarves, it's like they are small, but they're big at the same time. Dwarves. They're just not cool. Elves. Elves are cool, man. So let's think. Okay. Short, got the long beards. It mentions that they're kind of disfigured, hunchbacked. I don't want to go like full elemental on them, but I mean, that's kind of how they feel. Maybe like some kind of earthen human hybrid. Hmm. Maybe. Yeah, maybe they were made from the stone. So they would have some rocky qualities. Maybe their skin has patches of rock and stone on them. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna do human stone hybrids. Being that they live underground, they're blind. They are all blind. Oh, wrong button. Yeah, they're totally blind. They would have exceptional hearing and smell and touch. Hmm. Hmm. Mm-hmm. 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 Let's see. Let's think. And yeah, if you all have any suggestions for their physical appearance and everything, like their biology, yes, feel free to comment in. The best thing about this world building stream is not only am I here to just maybe spark some inspiration, but if you're working on something, like if you're world building, making a character, what have you, bounce ideas off me, buddy. Think of me as like a live assistant. Let's see. So do. Um. Hmm. Mm, it's not really a biology thing, but I am gonna say that they would have a really strong work ethic. Because one thought would be, with them being these human stone hybrid people that, and living underground, I wouldn't see them, like, I would see them as being dirty. But with their exceptional sense of smell, since they don't have sight, that would be a really big turnoff. They would want to be clean because, they basically smell 10 times as strong as we do. So any odor is going to be really pungent. But then that got me thinking. They're often depicted as miners, craftsmen. So like they are guys that work. So they would actually use their stench as like a class system in a way, you know. Oh yeah, did you smell Leroy? That's a hard working dwarf. Not like Timmy over there. He smells fruity. Because when you work hard, you work up a sweat. Tonight's sponsor is generic ginger ale beverage because I had Olive Garden for dinner and it was delicious. I really enjoy Italian food, but boy, does it not enjoy me. It's just I'm gonna say it's again an older thing because I don't recall it affecting me before. It was really like maybe mid-20s that I noticed that Italian food would kind of just go straight through me. Might be TMI, but there's worse things on the internet. Oh, let's see. Stench used as, I'm gonna say class system, but that's not quite the right word or phrasing, but I mean, we know what I mean. Meatball! You're bad at alerts. Yeah. Guilty as charged. So, yes, Necro, tonight is Dwarves, and gonna build a realistic society thing around them. And to fill you in so far, these dwarves are a bit freaky. For starters, they eat gemstones. That is their food source. That's why the dwarves dig, not just to find metals and, treasures, but, they are digging for food. And I was thinking that that the gemstones would kind of last them a long time, depending on quality and all that stuff. I'm modding in Twitch. Oh, cool. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, it's all good, my dude. And then these dwarves are kind of human stone hybrid people. I'm thinking that their skin would be a bit harder, and maybe they would grow little patches of rock and stone. Because I looked up the origin of dwarves, and one thing mentioned that they were kind of seen more as earthen spirits than, a short human dude. But sticking with the classics, they are still short. They got the long beards. They're just half stone people, and they eat rocks. Also, they are all totally blind because they do live underground. Why, they wouldn't have sight? Oh, yeah, things that live underground typically have that kind of pale, translucent skin. So yeah, maybe they're very that pale white with the stone. But they do have exceptional hearing, smell, and touch because, they don't have their eyesight. This feels close. I don't want it to be too far away. Let's see, anything else about kind of their biology? Hearing. Blind. Oh yeah, their teeth. They wouldn't have canines. They would be like masher, cruncher teeth. I'm sure there's a technical name for that. But I am no dentist. Oh, this one's weird. Interesting. I am listening to Breaking Benjamin tonight as my background music. It's the Aurora album, and it seems like they have taken a lot of their songs and added a vibe to it. Let's see. All right, we'll skip over from the biology for now. Maybe something will spark later. Oh, yes. Step 2 is where do they live? Easy peasy. Underground. Caverns. Under the mountains. We'll keep that one. Mm-hmm. Plus, we sort of had to because of how I biologically built them. Okay, so where would they live? Yeah, they would just have yeah, they would have more proper dwellings, but they would still be made out of stone. We'll say proper homes made out of stone, and even the cavern walls and floors. Like, some people's houses might be, stone blocks or something, put into a home style shape. While others, it could be like, oh yeah, we were digging over here, we dug down, so now we have like this pit, and well, yeah, we just slapped a door on it. Go down the steps into your home. What was step 4? Oh yeah, kind of the would there be a class system? I will say, I mean, even though in a lot of dwarven media, I mean, they have their hierarchies of nobility, and I mean, you pretty much will have that in just about any culture. But I don't know, something about them being underground, the way that they kind of just really they just plop a house where it's like, yeah, this'll work. Just carve this, smooth it out, shove a door on there. So they, from all that, they do feel more, kind of more united. So I'm gonna say there really wouldn't be a difference in dwelling locations like the shifters last time. The the upper class lived up in the trees of their forest while the lowers were down below to get eaten by whatever predators lay nearby. So dwarves are more united, equal in living space. Mm, hmm. Dwarven hierarchy. You're gonna have a hierarchy. It happens. It's mortal nature, not just human nature. What would what would define who would be in charge? Hmm. Well, working is a big aspect of their society. So it would really be um, like this would be really a business run kind of authority. There's a word for it. Because there's the one city people in Dragon Age. It's like they don't have a king or anything like that. It's like all the upper tradesmen, they form this council essentially. Oh, there was a word for it. I don't remember what it was, but yeah. So in this one, the kind of the businessmen, the houses that come from the long line of hard work, essentially, they would be the ones kind of running the show. What else do we need in society? So yes, this kind of class system. Mm, yeah, I'm just not getting quite a divide between them like last time. So I'm gonna jump ahead then. Maybe something else will come to mind. It's always good to put things on the back burner when you're world building, because as you're thinking about something else, you'll get that spark and be like, oh, wait. But education. Mm, they'd probably be less. Ooh, yeah, how would that work? Eventually, they would have some form of writing, kind of like, Braille, since they are blind. Um, so, yeah, I mean, starting off, everything would have to be uh, word of mouth, oral history. Maybe something with touch? Yeah, they would probably have like some sort of well, yeah, like kind of like hieroglyphics in a way, but the early days, they would probably carve something just to help remember, and then they could run their hands across it and be like, "Oh yes, what how did that story go?" And they rub their hands on it and be like, "Oh, yes, of course." So yeah, we'll put stone etching in there. Education. It, yeah, there wouldn't be schools. Being the tradesmen, craftsmen that they are, it really is, you just learn as you go. And just learn from the people around you. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. What are you doing? iTunes? I didn't tell you to open, you dingle dong. Let's see. Education. I'm gonna put this under the education section, just because it came to me, and I don't really know what other section I would put it on currently, but there wouldn't be as much fun in their society. Like, even kids, there'd still be a little bit of play, because I mean, come on, kids are gonna be kids. But with the work-natured society, the unschooling, where you just kind of learn things as you go along, the parents wouldn't be like, "Oh yeah, go play." They'd be like, "Hey, you need to sit down and learn how to carve this, because you're gonna take over the family business one day." So yeah, we'll put that under the education section for now. Kids. Ooh, let's go back up to... Nah, we can just put it under another section. So, in thinking in the opposite way, as kids, they would really start them off young about basically hard work and all that. But then on the opposite end of the spectrum, when you started to get too old, oh, yeah, if you can't contribute anymore, Now, realistically, I mean, we've done it in our own human history. We've seen the archaeological finds that the early humans would take care of the elderly, and yes, so the dwarves would too. Since we are making it for a fantasy thing, even though we're not making it for story purposes, one thing you could throw in there is that whenever they get too old, the dwarves would like exile you. I would say a common thing with the dwarves is their their kingdom, their territory is almost constantly being assaulted by the underground beasts and other underground peoples. Because like in Lord of the Rings with Moria, in the Fellowship we see that the goblins had basically taken over Moria. And thinking about it now, that doesn't feel like oh yes, we were sent here by the Dark Lord to do this. It's almost like, yeah, we've been fighting against these dwarves forever, and then we finally got the upper hand because this Balrog showed up. Oh, what a break. And like in Dragon Age comes up pretty regularly, I would say. Maybe not so much on screen, but definitely off. Because Courtney and I love Dragon Age to a healthily unhealthy degree. But in Dragon Age, the dwarves in that game, like their lands are constantly being attacked by the darkspawn. And yeah, in that one, if you got, if you were a criminal to a certain degree, I'm sure there were other factors, but they would exile dwarves into the deep roads. They'd be like, all right, here's a sword. Go out there, kill as many darkspawn as you can before you die. And then they shut the doors on you. Man, Dragon Age is awesome. Oh, Breaking Benjamin ended. Who do I want to listen to next? I rather enjoyed that album. Let's do another breaky. The Ember album. I haven't listened to this one. Let's give it a try. So, in the thought process of going from, okay, how would the society treat the kids? How would they treat the elderly? We went the darker route last time with the shifters. So, and also I would say being the underground blind dwellers that the dwarves are, I would think they would have really like a good, strong, familiar bond. So they probably wouldn't just kill Gramps and be like, well, he couldn't work no more, so get rid of him. So yeah, they would take care of their elderly. And that also would make some sense to a degree, because being the work ethic society that they are, even though once when you weren't able to work, that would be an issue, I feel like they would also see, oh, look at what he accomplished in his lifetime. So yes, we'll take care of you. you put in the hard work. Now it's time to relax. Okay, let's see. That's yeah. So we kind of went over the authority, being that they're kind of led by the tradesmen of the society. But what about enforcement? I mean, it's very common in societies to have a police force of some sort. Would it be... I mean, they usually are tied to the government in some way, but not necessarily, because they could just be, you know, back when this settlement was first founded, my gramps picked up his shovel and he defended the town with an iron fist, and so our family has we've just done it ever since. So it could be almost like a militia kind of thing, not so much a police enforcement thing. Does that make sense? That kind of makes more sense to me than them, uh, kind of having the job of enforcer. Let's see. So enforcement done by families. Ooh, and so with that, their laws would be more. They're more loose, more interpreted. Let's see. Okay, so we got enforcement. We've done authority. Mm-hmm. Ooh, okay. So yeah, with the last time the shifters were a hawk version instead of like the beast man version. I played around with it a little bit and that was fun. But in it, since they had their temporary flight when they shifted, that would affect the society and kind of how they built roadways or flight paths, I should say. And so, yeah, for these dwarves, they are blind. So they would definitely, things would be really compact. And yeah, they would have carved signposts so that, if you were going somewhere, You could essentially follow the markings, be like, okay, I'm on the right track, continue on. And it would probably even, like, as they ran their hands across it to read it, it would be like, Blacksmith Joe's, uh, 30 paces right. And so you would know, okay, well, this path that I'm on, I will follow it. And then at about 30 paces, I'm going to turn right. Also, with their enhanced sense of smell, they probably would be able to smell out the blacksmith pretty easily. Let's see. Kind of directional info. Alrighty. Oh, yeah, that was something I did. Okay, so if there were other races, how would they see the dwarves and vice versa? So if other races, I would say they would get along with others really well. Relatively speaking. They would definitely, heavy trade. Especially being the craftsmen that they are, they would. That would be a great source of income for them. Well, and then also, since they live off of gemstones, eating those, other societies would be like, oh, hey, you guys are really good at finding these precious stones. We we'll buy some off of you. And of course, the dwarves would at first would be like, oh yeah, you want a snack? I can give you like a ruby that I have. That'll satiate you for a good while. Let's see. So yeah, they would get along with other races. I will say, of course, people like the elves being the snooty ones. Uh, of course, there would probably be some races that would not get along with the dwarves just because, they're filthy. They live underground and look how hairy they are. Blah, 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 blah. But, they're the dwarves in pretty much every medium I have seen them in. They're, I mean, they're blunt and a bit brash, but they're pretty likable guys. So yeah, I would say that the other races would think highly of them. Now, if no other races, so if it was like just a world of dwarves, would they? Yeah, especially these type of dwarves. I tweak them to be pretty odd. Yeah, they would probably be more uh yeah, they'd be more easygoing with each other. Ooh. Although being the kind of that tradesmen that they are, they would probably get into some pretty heated you know, bargaining debates. Hey, Necro's back. Ooh, about fantasy nuclear power. Okay. That would be something more in the, I would say, in the dwarven sector. Like, I would think a fantasy nuclear power would be some kind of magical stone. Uh, like like in Dragon Age, how there's the lyrium, which is it's basically a physical manifestation of magic. It is quite literally magic rock, and it is crushed down and put into liquids to make the mana potions and all that good stuff. Dwarven super rocks. Indeed. So, in a fantasy setting, if you wanted something like nuclear power, I would say it would maybe be something like that. Whether it's a natural thing where they can, like, dig it and, find it and be like, oh, here's a good core. But then also, with uh, the pretty readily accessible magic that is prevalent in a lot of fantasy medias, I could also see like a nuclear reactor being like a bunch of mages like take turns going into this chamber and they just like channel their magic all into like one focal point, and then Scott gets tired and that I'm spent for the day, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. And then Steve takes over. All right, my turn. Dang it, Scott. Dang it, Scott. He never pulls his weight. He always says he's out of mana. I've reported him to HR a couple times. Hmm. Fantasy nuclear power. Yeah, those are the first two ways that kind of come to mind. Mm, hmm. Yeah. Ooh. Oh. Oh. Uh. Yeah. So another way that you might have fantasy nuclear power is by some kind of creature. You know, maybe they maybe there was a demon who was just unstoppable, and so the only way they could stop him was to trap him into something, and then while he's trapped in there, they over time they were like, hey, there's kind of like a lot of aura kind of pouring off this thing. You think we could like harness it? And then you have this demon reactor, or you know maybe they captured a dragon, and because I mean dragons are like the epitome of fantasy magic creature, And so, maybe they're like siphoning off of this dragon, and that's their nuclear power. Feeding mana from a person is barely a step above feeding a coal furnace. Well, it does depend. I mean, yes. In that way, if they used the mages like I was saying, they'd have to have a crap ton of mages. It really just depends on how the magic would work in that storyline. And because I'm just saying, in Dragon Ball Z, those guys could probably power a city for, like, one of them could power it for at least a month. Oh, that dragons are radioactive? Interesting. And that's why they have scales, because the scales keep it inside. So yeah, by killing a dragon, you actually are killing yourself. Because when you pierce that protective barrier, then you get exposed by all of that radioactive mana inside. I like it. All right, let's see what is next in our societal step. Oh, yes, trades. Yeah, they really wouldn't be hunter-gatherers. Pretty much any kind of hands-on crafts they would do. Even stuff uh like sewing and like a tailor. Even though they can't see, they would still craft that, and you would get some probably really crazy colored things, because they wouldn't know which ones they're grabbing unless they had made like a label system. Ooh, goodness. Let's see. Remind me to post the comic about Superman turning the crank in the Discord. Okay. I look forward to looking at that. Actually, I might be able to pull up Discord here, which, if you're not part of our Discord, shame on you, because we're awesome. But seriously, you should join our Discord. It's fun. You can hang out with Necro/Angry Meatball. You can hang out with me. I think I'm pretty cool. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't say he posted it yet, but we'll keep it handy. So yeah, hands-on crafts, mining, with mining being the big one, as that is kind of like their food source. Trades. What else would dwarves do? Yeah, so no hunter-gatherer thing. Hmm. Yeah. I would say they would have, I would just say, a standard society array of jobs and trades that they would work at. Nothing too spectacular. Like the shifters, they the way I imagined them, they were more restricted uh, on their jobs and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say for the dwarves, yeah, I mean, you really wouldn't have hunters per se. With that, I mean, every society is gonna need a military of some sort. But yeah, I mean, the dwarves would be heavily just for defense. So I'm gonna say, no military. Really just defensive, militias. Because it's not like the dwarves could leave the Underdark, essentially, and venture topside and be like, haha, yes, we will conquer these surface dwellers. Where are they? Is it this way? That way? Come find us. Let us kill you. Get closer. Can you do me a small favor and just run yourself into my spear? Oh, he found it. Yes. Excelente. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Saturday morning. This is what I thought of when you were talking about Dragon Ball powering a city. Okay. Uno momento. Let me see this funny comic. Okay. Oh, it's kind of lengthy. Okay. I will read it later. I don't want to spend all my time here. Not that it was just longer than I was expecting. In our society now, if anything takes more than 30 seconds, then it's obsolete. The pros and cons of progress, I suppose. Yes. Punishment. Yeah, banishment is just a really common punishment. Yeah, they would have jails and yeah, you would do hard labor. Oh yeah, the dwarves would put you to work. Oh yeah. Oh. Oh. So I know I said that these dwarves have not quite a class difference, not quite that hierarchy gap between the lowers and the uppers. But yeah, they would. Ooh. Yeah, they would probably use uh, prisoners as like a slave labor force. So people would probably get arrested just to have workers, you know what I'm talking about? Are we talking entirely subterranean? Yes, we are. So these dwarves are totally blind, so going topside would be really unhealthy for them. Because at least down in the caves, they would be able to like feel markers and, where to go and everything. Oh, yeah, if they left the caves and tried to find their way through some prairies where there's, hardly anything to touch and make a marker out of. Yeah. Prisoners, slave labor? Question mark. Uh let's see. Falsely arrested. I feel like there's a word. Man, I am not a wordsmith at all. But I feel like there's some kind of phrase where it's like somebody purposefully imprisons you so that you would work, for their blah blah blah. Because I mean, like I said, these guys, the people that run it, run their society essentially are these established, you know, business houses. And so, yeah, I could totally see some of them being like, hey, Johnson speaking out about our working conditions. Let's silence him, put him down, put him down in the mines. Yeah. Oh, it's that Skyrim quest. Yeah. And in Markarth, there's like the Silver Hand mines or something like that. Pretty sure silver's in the name. But yeah, it's like you go into this place, you talk to this guy, and then the guards arrest you with basically no evidence. And it's like, yeah, this is how this family gets its workers to work the mines. They've paid off the guards, so the guards will just arrest people and throw them in there. See, we've only done 2 of these, and both of them you've decided that slavery plays a big role in both societies. Hey, we said that we're being realistic in building them, and as we know from our own planet, every culture ever has had slavery in it. But yeah, don't check my basement. Give me an hour. Let's see. Oh, wow. That train just derailed. Uh oh, war. Yeah, kind of went over war. That they really wouldn't have like a military force because they really can't go out and conquer places, but they would need to be able to defend themselves to some degree. So yeah, it would really just be like essentially Minutemen and it's religion. Yes, of course. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I would say they would probably be a because like the shifters last time they were spiritual, but they weren't religious. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe in their lore they would have a god, but it's not like they would worship it. Where the dwarves, Courtney, what's happening? Yeah, that's me. I'm Jonas. Just hanging out here with the angry meatball. We're making a dwarven society tonight, and yeah, it's coming along pretty well. Got some interesting things in there. So these dwarves eat rocks. They eat gemstones as their food source. Yeah, that so necro theologian. Yeah, that's meatball. I just got to the religion side of the society, and yeah, the shifters last time were spiritual, but not religious. Religion is kind of the thing that gets more iffy with the societies because, of course, from like a story standpoint, you could always just be like, oh, well, yes, they believe in so and so. Um, but I mean, realistically, I mean, we can just look at Earth. Every society has had gods, whether it's the, Native Americans with kind of the more kind of spiritual stuff. Because I don't want to say that the dwarves are just, straight up atheists. That doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel real. Mm, That's also the a little bit of the trouble with doing the society is, I mean, they could be just an atheist society now, but maybe they were, they had religions, but then kind of being the hard working, focused people that they are, they would be like, oh, what the gods? They didn't build this house. I did. See, every society has a religion, whether they believe they are the gods or that the earth is a god, or that there's a group of people in the sky that govern them. This is very true. And then yeah, like in Dragon Age, the dwarves in that one often refer to the stone, and so the kind of the earth itself is their god. Hey, welcome back, welcome back. So yeah, we're gonna go with that. These dwarves, they are religious. Um, but theirs would be a more. I'm gonna say it would be more what's the word? It's more personal than the spiritual. More, yeah, it is more. This is gonna kind of be weird, but more religious than spiritual. It makes sense. Trust me. Mm. Oh yeah, and it would probably be something like, you know, the the Lord, uh, you know, carved out these mountain halls for us to dwell in. Oh my gosh, what if they yeah, what if they pictured their god was a worm, you know, just this giant purple worm that burrowed through, and you know that's what carved out the mountain tunnels. Not gonna go with the worm thing, but I I like it. It's a neat concept. Mm. Oh, and yeah, I'm sure like their religion would probably have something in it like, you know, yes, the our Lord gave us the stone to shield us from the unending heavens that the surface dwellers have to fear of falling into. That was one of my favorite life-changing events from Dragon Age, was learning that the dwarves were afraid of the sky. It was just so brilliant and real. Gosh, Dragon Age is amazing. They should come out with a fourth one, you know? Because Inquisition was just so awesome. We really need a Dragon Age 4. Let's see, would you still worship me if I was a worm? um, no. Depends on the worm. If we're going with like the WURM, you'd have more of a chance. But yeah, if you're just, oh, well, if you are an Alaskan bullworm, that one, yeah, that'd probably be up there with the other worms. Let's see. So we did education, war, trading with other people, religion. Oh, what time is it? Oh, wow. Man, that goes by fast. We talked about how the society would be like physically structured. Dude, like these dwarven cities would be cramped. Oh my gosh. Because they're blind. You know, they would need things to be basically as close together as possible. We did the location. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I didn't really, because like last time, oh, Shy Hulud? Hmm, Gesundheitser. Oh, my music stopped. Oh, I finished that, Breaking Benjamin. Okay, we've done 2 albums of Breaking Benjamin. I think he's been broken enough. We'll let him get a long rest so he can get all his hit points back. Um, yeah, let's do Switchfoot. I feel like I haven't listened to them in a long while. I saw them in concert once at the other one, not Kentucky Kingdom, Kings Island, right? No, Holiday World. Whew, it was a long while back. Okay. Uh, but yeah, Switchfoot had a concert. Uh, it was like, which I didn't even know. Holiday World had this like stage way in the back, but they do. It's awesome. And yeah, this Switchfoot concert was crazy good. Yes, Breaking Benjamin. They are musical artists. They've they've been my background music tonight. I listened to the Aurora album and then the Ember album. I know I was being goofy. Yeah, during work today, a Breaking Benjamin song came over the radio, and so it put them in my head, and was like, I haven't listened to them in a while. I wonder if they have any new albums. And yes, yes, I am so bad with keeping up with bands. For instance, tonight, where it's like, oh yeah, what if they have a new album? Yeah, Jonas, they have like 10 new albums. Yeah. Um. Oh, but yes, with the shifters, one section I kind of specified was a little bit specifically how the different aspects of their biology, would affect things. So yeah, the with the dwarves having the enhanced hearing because of their blindness, music would be their jam. Because they would, because it's not just things would, like they could pick up things and they'd just be louder, but, they would be able to hear, I mean, just probably different frequencies and whatnot. So, yeah, to us, oh my gosh, their music would sound horrible. It would be it would be a monstrosity. Cause yeah, because they would hear so many different things, they'd have like this guy playing the most horrific chords. Mm-hmm. So yeah, with the hearing, some music. What else would that hearing do? Mm, yeah, it would help kind of just alert them. And then let's see, with their enhanced smell. In a similar vein, it would help them distinguish people. Oh, they'd be able to smell an outsider from like a mile away. You don't smell like sweat. Therefore, you are a surfacer. Hmm. Hmm. Smell. Oh, and then with that, cooking would also be a real big thing for them because the smells from cooking would be so enhanced. Let's see. Yeah, the air would smell different. So the way our liners on a surface dweller would be, would be different. Mm-hmm. Um. So yeah, smell, hearing, and then how would their enhanced touch work? What would that do for them? Oh, yeah. They would be the marble. Because, yeah, they would be able to feel a slab of stone and be like, oh, yeah, oh, there's some imperfections here. You know, oh, here's a soft spot. You could start carving right there. So, yeah, that would help them. That would really help them with their craft. You know, earlier I said because they're blind, whenever they would, I mean, pretty much anything that's hands on, they're into. So even things like sewing, I was like, oh, yeah, you know, they would, knit you a giant, a blanket, but it would be, such an array of colors because they couldn't see what colors they were using, unless they like labeled them somehow. But with their enhanced touch, just saying, it would be possible they could feel the color difference. I'm just going to put that in here. Just possible color touch sensing. Yes, Mr. Robert and Courtney, to kind of give you a quick catch up here. With these dwarves, they are not your standard dwarf. They are still short. They still have the long beards. But being the undergrounders that they are just all totally blind. So all the other senses, of course, would be kind of more enhanced. I looked up the kind of the origins of dwarves, and some of the things mentioned almost like they weren't the humanoids that we know them to be, but they were more like earthen spirits. And also that several of them mentioned that, they would be disfigured or they would just have odd body shapes, like being hunchbacked, which of course made me think of Braxt, though his hunchback is completely different. So these dwarves are still that short, but they're pretty kind of just odd looking. And I was thinking, with that they eat gemstones as their food source, that maybe they are. I didn't want to go full elemental, but they're kind of like a human stone hybrid. Because, being from the earth is kind of, uh, a common dwarven thing. I mean, Gimli even says, oh, yes, they think we just spring out of holes in the ground. Yeah, maybe a Dow. And yeah, like Stone Ganassi vibes. Oh that is the earth elemental djinn. Uh Ifriti. Ifriti? That one's my favorite djinn for the warlock. Just the mostly because of the spells that you get from it, just seem better. Oh, it's like an hour 40 in almost. Hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, they got strong work ethic. Oh yeah. Would that come into play? So because they eat the gemstones as their food source, dwarves wouldn't have like canines like we do. They would have probably just these honking cruncher teeth, you know what I'm saying? Uh but also seeing that they are like a strong work ethic society and they have the enhanced smell, my first thought was, oh well, they live underground and all this, so they're dirty, and all that. But with the stench, that would be really powerful for their enhanced smell. So they would want to be clean. But then I had the thought of, well, their society is kind of built on hard work, and you sweat when you're working hard. So they would smell that as kind of like a class system in a way. Like you'd be like, oh yeah, Carl. Now that's a man right there, hard working. Not like Joseph over there. He smells like daisies. Ooh yeah, what do they sweat? Do they sweat? Oh, interesting change. Hmm. Yeah, just these little crystals just. Ooh, yeah. they actually probably really wouldn't have a smell to them at all then. I mean, they are kind of half human. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to mull that one over. Let's see. Anything else about society? What does a stone smell like? It varies, but yeah, there's kind of that. You get that, earthy smell. Sometimes a little bit of a metallic smell to them. Depending on what's mixed in there. War, trade, religion, authority, enforcers, their biology. Ah, yeah. So then what they eat would affect the smell of them, yeah? And then, ooh, what color do they bleed? Oh, yeah, it's not red. Nope. Hmm. My first thought was some kind of gray. Maybe kind of like maybe a little bit on the lighter side. Not much. Gray blood? Mm-hmm. How would medical work? Because they'd have kind of hard skin. Pretty much everything would have to be orally taken or some kind of lotion salve. Ooh. And also, would they be cold-blooded or warm-blooded? Ah. I'm gonna go with warm. Stone cold-blooded. Yeah, I was starting to think that, but I mean, the kind of the reason why lizards are cold-blooded is because they're in that hot environment, and so the sun and all that helps kind of counteract the environment a bit. But yeah, being underground where it's kind of colder, they would need to be a little bit warmer. Well, I think I have societied enough out of these dwarves. got a good listing here of the different aspects. Let's see, could they smell what the rock is cooking? You know, that's a fair question. And on that note, it's time for me to bid you all adieu. I hope you enjoyed this stream. Be sure to check out all our other VODs. We got all sorts of goodies for you to watch. We have a fantasy western, which is pretty fantastic. We have our awesome dark fantasy series, Treachery, a Governor's Secret, and Treachery, a Lord's Gambit. And if those aren't your jam, you want something, you want guns, you want lasers, well, guess what? We got that too. We got 2 different sci-fis for you. We have Star Wars Reconciliation, as well as Ark Outer Rift, which Ark was a Halo-inspired TTRPG that our Knight Commander Patrick made for us. And when I say he made it, he made it. He made how the dice worked, how the guns worked, the armor, the health, the lore of the Fodu and the aliens. It was fantastic. It was so interesting. He had these 2 different spiels from both sides of the conflict. Oh my gosh. Ark was awesome. It was so much fun. And yeah. So be sure to check those out. We also got plenty of funny shorts, as well as a couple, tearjerker shorts that you should check out. Ooh, if you live in the Kentucky area, or even the southern Indiana area, or just surrounding thereof, this Saturday at the Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky, I know, the Corvette Museum, we're gonna be at an anime fest, of all the places. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. You should stop in, come see us, tour the Corvette Museum. It's cool. I toured it with my Uncle Bill last year? Maybe 2 years ago? Man, time's timing, It's like it don't stop coming and it don't stop coming. But yeah, come see us. We're gonna have merch there for you. We can talk D&D. And speaking of merch, we have a Redbubble where you can find all our awesome merch on there in a variety of forms. You want a backpack? It's there. Coasters, a sweater, baseball cap, stickers, even a shower curtain, if you wanted to be so bold. And yeah, the quality from Redbubble is it's crazy good. And it ships really fast for being, custom ordered stuff. And yeah, if you order from them, we get, honestly, we get a decent amount back from it. Redbubble, of course, gets their fair share. They're doing all the hard work. But if you also are just feeling generous, we have a PayPal. If you know Jeff Bezos, give us our PayPal and just have him drop in a few mil. And yeah, that'd be sweet. Let's see, Redbubble, PayPal. I've already told you about the Discord, which you should totally join because it's awesome. And I think I'm gonna leave it at that before I done ramble anymore. So once again, thank you for tuning in. I am Jonas of the Wayward Inquisition. Have a wonderful night. And remember that freedom, well, it always crits. And go to church. Bye!